All right. Welcome everyone to our Pride edition of our build and deploy AI machine learning models with multiple data sets with AutoAI. So this is our IBM Developer and Brightbots partner event for the month of June, and we'll be scheduling some more throughout the year as we go forward. So just a few pieces of housekeeping. Let me make sure I have. There we go. As we get started here. So everything that you will see today, whether you're attending in person or online, will be available in the slides, which you can access at ibm.biz/AutoAI slides. If you are joining the stream from Crowdcast or our IBM Developer YouTube channel, the replay will be available at the same URL you joined the Crowdcast with at crowdcast.io/e/AutoAI. So if you're joining on YouTube, feel free to check out the replay on Crowdcast following the event. And as always, in order to follow along with our hands-on workshop, you will need an IBM Cloud account. You can sign up for one at ibm.biz/AutoAI-cloud. So just to get started, for those of you who are joining in the Crowdcast, and for all of us here, we'll have some time to network at the end of the event as well. Feel free to share in the chat, either on Crowdcast or YouTube, your name and pronouns, your title, company, or program that you're currently attending, where you're from or possibly joining from, and then, as always, something you love and a quirk, something that's uniquely weird or different about you. So as a little icebreaker here, for all of you in person, I will go first. So my name is Jenna. My pronouns are she, her. I am the lead developer advocate and architect for inner source and developer advocacy at IBM. I am originally from Detroit, Michigan. I'm currently joining from New York City, which is where we are currently live at Astor Place. Something I love are my dogs. I have 3 Yorkies. They can't bother us now because they're not here, but usually they're scratching on my door, and a quirk. So something uniquely different about me, I have an obsession with tuna melt and tuna salad sandwiches. The best one I've had so far in New York was at Russ & Daughters. So if you have any suggestions, feel free to share. You know, I'm a lifelong tuna snob, I guess. So always looking for new suggestions. So that's a little bit about me. You can connect with me on all social at Ritten. And if you need to get in contact with me at any time or find any of my content, slides, videos, book some time with me, you can do that at linktree/jritten. I'm going to pass things over to Brightbots for a few minutes, our IBM partner, who's going to talk to you a little bit about their company, what they do, and a little bit about them. Yeah, just right behind here.
Hi everybody. Hi everybody. Dave Contreras from Brightbots. We're an IBM partner. We're based here in New York City. We build and create AI applications for companies all around the world on IBM Cloud using a lot of the Watson services. So what you're going to learn today absolutely is used by companies from large banks down the street here in New York City to small mom and pop restaurants all around the world. So we build those types of solutions on a daily basis.
Hi everyone, my name is Tatiana. I am the co-founder and chief product officer of Brightbots. We joke that whatever Dave dreams, our team builds. So I enjoy a lot seeing our solutions coming to life and co-creating solutions with our clients. So they bring the problems, we solve, and we all create together. That's a little bit about us. I think one of the things that I love snorkeling. If anybody has good spots to let me know, please, today. And a little cork, I guess it's my accent, and it comes from Brazil.
And because of that, we actually get to spend 2 summers per year. So we do summer here in New York, and then right around after Christmas, we do a second summer in South America, where a lot of our technical team is located. So it kind of works out. We have a great group of technical consultants, people who build AI models, a lot like yourselves, software developers, solution architects, cloud architects, and they're all in Latin America, which is a great place to be in December, January, and February.
A cork and a bonus. And we both speak English, Portuguese, and Spanish. So you can come in and talk to us and say hola at times.
Yeah, as we get into the lab, if anybody gets stuck, just raise your hands and we can kind of come through and see if we can get you unstuck as we're starting to build things.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Brightbots. And bom dia, I guess, bom tarde, right? Have to come visit for Carnival, right? Maybe you guys will have a float there. Okay, so I've included in the slides as well some information on Brightbots. You can check out some of their data-driven business solutions. I have a link to their site as well. You can check them out. Sorry, here we go. You can check them out at brightbots.co, right? Yep, at brightbots.co. Oops, there we go. There we go. So one thing I always like to cover as before we get into too many technical things. One thing that's really great about IBM is we have IBM Cloud Certifications, and we have certifications for free. They're always free. They're not. There we go. They are not courses that you take and then you pay $10 for a certificate. It's free. The badge is free. You can add it to your LinkedIn. It helps with potential employers. So the first one I want to share with you all, make sure this clicker is working, is our Cloud Core badge. So this is a really fundamental badge to help you understand the basics of cloud technology. Will help you be able to describe the different types of cloud platforms and models, including IaaS, PaaS, SaaS. So that's infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service, which are all technologies that we build at IBM. Understand the difference between public, private, and hybrid multi-cloud environments, which are also solutions that we build at IBM. So this is a really great badge to help you get started with. For all of you that are interested in AI, we have a, I think this is a more updated one. I've done lots of badges. This one's a little more, you can tell by the design too, that's a newer badge. The AI Foundations badge. So this was a collaborative badge on our IBM Skills Build. So with this badge, you'll be able to cover the key knowledge points, skills, and different values necessary to understand and work with artificial intelligence. And upon completing, you'll be aware of AI implications for future of work, and really just the way people function in society in general. So there, you'll be able to apply your knowledge through an AI design challenge and use design thinking to create a prototype for an AI-powered solution as well. So this is a really cool badge. And the last one I have here is for all of you developers out there. And these are for everyone, but I always like to pick a few for each group of people we have joining our workshops. The last one is the IBM Cloud and AI Developer Essentials Badge. So this is going to help you develop applications and programs with the Watson API Artificial Intelligence on IBM Cloud. So these are 3 of my picks for this particular workshop. Let me just check and make sure we're good. Okay. So next, since this is our Pride Edition workshop, I want to wish everyone a very happy Pride. I know we're already halfway through the month. Kind of caught me off guard. I need to catch up with some Pride celebrations myself. So a few things that I wanted to share with all of you, and this is for IBMers as well as non-IBMers, is our IBM Be Equal. We have a Be Equal site with lots of resources, ways to get active in the community. We have different events that you can, and communities that you can get connected with. So this is a really great resource, and not just for Pride, for things year round. So anything diversity, equity, and inclusion related, we have a really great catalog of assets here. And this is, I just want to share a graphic from actually our Black History Month events that we did. Because a lot of times I actually shared an acronym with someone back in February for DEI, and they were like, "What's DEI?" And I was like, "Oh no, we don't talk about this enough." So DEI is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I'm a visual learner, so for me, this is like a really, I have 2 graphics that are kind of my all-time favorites. These are really great demonstrations of what this means, right? So equality, everyone has a bike, right? So you're saying, oh, well, here's a tool to use, but not everyone has the same access to using those tools or is equipped with the same tools to adequately use, make use of opportunities or things given to them, right? So here we have someone who is in a wheelchair. Obviously, they're not able to use a standard bike that was built for people who don't have any type of physical disability of any kind, right? So what equity looks like is everyone has a bike that works for them, that fits for them. So if, even in, we have like a little kid trying to use an adult bike, right? So equity is when we give people access to the same opportunities and give them tools to that they can actually use in meeting people where they are. You may or may not have seen this. This is kind of like the first one I ever saw. So equality, equity, and justice. So equality is, the assumption is that everyone benefits from the same support, right? So like we have people of different heights and they all have the same box. Like obviously this solution is designed for this guy on the left. It's not really working for anybody else. Equity is where everyone gets the support that they need. And it's the concept of affirmative action, right? So producing equity so that everyone can get the same experience and the same level of access. And then the last picture here, we have justice. So all 3 can see the game without any, without needing any type of support or accommodations, because the cause of the inequity was addressed, right? Like the issue was the wood fence. So they actually addressed the problem, and it actually gave everyone equal access to the opportunity. So rather than a Band-Aid, it's justice is taking care of the problem at the cause, so that everyone can have the same access to opportunities. So we have a IBM Be Equal Ally badge. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's just for IBMers. I think we have one coming that everyone can earn, but for any of the IBMers here or that are watching too, we do have a Be Equal Ally badge. So feel free to check it out. It's not like super long, but it's actually really has really great resources. So last thing before we start, the new program that, excuse me, I am the lead architect and developer advocate for is a program called InnerSource. So how many of you are familiar with open source? Probably like everyone, right? Heard of open source. How many of you heard of InnerSource? Okay, one person. Two. Okay, right. So this is what InnerSource and open source. This is a difference, right? So when we're talking about open source, we're talking about multiple companies that are able to contribute to an open commons and open space for a shared benefit, right? So anyone can contribute to open source. Anyone can access it. They don't have to be part of a company or have a job. Students can contribute to open source and consume free products from there, right? So what InnerSource is it's rather than where companies and people just in general public can consume products and contribute to the community. InnerSource is within a company. So a lot of times you'll see it within enterprise level companies too. So different company divisions or business units are able to contribute to an internal space and share the benefits. So at IBM, we have a lot of products and research in different areas of the company, and we don't always know what the other parts of the company are working on. We don't, they're behind private GitHub repos. We don't have access to them. We don't have visibility of what's going on. So we're actually have built a portal that allows everyone within the company to find each other and see what everybody's building. So a big part of this at the foundation, obviously, is community and having more of an open source contributing community and collaborative community within a big company, because a lot of times things can be siloed, I'm sure at any company. But the biggest thing, the next biggest thing I would say is reducing duplicate work and technical debt. So a lot of times we'll find out there's 4 or 5 teams across a company this size that are working on the same solution. So before they start working, they can see, hey, is another team working on this already? Why don't we just, if we need a feature, not only can we add that feature ourselves, we don't have to go to that team and say, hey, it'd be really great if you had this feature, can you add it? You can just contribute the code and submit a pull request, right? So if you need something, you can just, take on the technical debt yourselves, build it out, and contribute to a product that's truly built for everyone. So within CIO's office, our mission is to provide a first-class developer experience. So for developers, by developers. So we're all developers ourselves. So we're trying to make that experience as best as possible and make it a company-wide look and feel. So if you're not already familiar, I had a question about this earlier, where you can find everything and anything. If you have any questions, need any resources for anything, we have an IBM Developer Portal that is available to the whole world. So if you're haven't already been introduced to it, you can check that out at developer.ibm.com. So whenever we're doing events, whenever something's published, you want to find tutorials or APIs or SDKs to play around with, or articles, blog posts, anything that's published by IBM is published to the site. So if you're looking to find badges you can earn, or tutorials to learn new areas of technology, or just explore, call for code, you can do that at developer.ibm.com. So the last 2 things I want to share with you here that you can actually access through developer.ibm.com. The first is the data asset exchange. So we actually have a data asset exchange within the developer portal. So if anyone wants to share, like when you're looking for data sets to build, an AI model or some type of solution, a chatbot, like where do you normally look for data sets? Feel free to shout them out. Kaggle, yeah. Where else? Google. You can go to go ahead. GitHub. Yep. At IBM too, we have a lot in GitHub and random box notes all over the place, right? A lot of times they're just like on that guy's computer that has all the data sets. So we actually started this data asset exchange. As I mentioned, it is open source. It's available through our IBM Developer Portal, which is all open source content as well. So you can find a lot of really robust data sets here to do whatever you need to do, would like to do with them. So if you're going to do a hackathon, you're going to look at Kaggle and Google. Take a look here too, because we've got some really great data sets for you to use. And a lot of these things come from work that we've done on other projects at the company or out of research. So this is a shorthand link that I created for it. So you can check out the data asset exchange at ibm.biz/Watson-DAX. That was just my quick and easy to remember way to find it. There have been some updates here. So this used to be the model asset exchange. If you checked it out before, it is now the machine learning exchange. And we have partnered with the OLF AI and data organization as well. So things that we used to have on developer.ibm.com, now we will direct you here. And it's more than just models. So we have pipelines, components, notebooks, anything you're looking for to get some resources to do your data and AI machine learning work. Check out the machine learning exchange. And I updated my little hot link here as well. So it's now ibm.biz/Watson-MLX. So we have Watson-DAX and Watson-MLX. So feel free to check those out. So let's get technical for a bit, get into the more technical details, and we're leading into the workshop portion of our event. And someone commented on the Crowdcast government city data. Yes, so if you are looking for specific data based on geographically region, any data that is collected by a city or local government, or you can find those on those websites. They might be a little hard to find sometimes, but all of that information is public data, so you can access those directly through those government organization sites as well. Okay, so gonna switch gears and get a little more technical. Oops, there we go. There we go. So AutoAI. Who here has heard of AutoAI? Maybe. Okay. So AutoAI is within IBM Cloud Pak for data, and that's our data as a service option, services that we provide. So what AutoAI does is it automates feature engineering processes for relational data. So we're going to take a look at that today because we're going to be working with multiple data sets, which was in beta before and now it's not, so yay. Essentially what it does is, have any of you created data models yourself, like not automated, and yeah, and how long does it normally take you? Very long. Days, months, weeks, right? So this is going to save data scientists months of manual data prep. data prep time and will allow you to achieve results comparable to top performing data scientists in a matter of minutes. And that's the workshop we're going to do today. You'll be able to see it in action. So the AutoAI graphical tool in Watson Studio automatically analyzes your data, and it generates candidate model pipelines customized for your predictive modeling problem. So the model pipelines are created iteratively as AutoAI analyzes your data set and discovers different data transformations, algorithms, and parameter settings that work best to optimize your solution. And we'll be able to see it in action. You'll see the results. They'll be displayed on a leaderboard, and it'll show the automatically generated model pipelines as they're generated, and it will actually rank them according to your problem optimization objective. So we'll be able to see that all in action. It goes pretty quick, so I'll leave it up so we can all watch it. So basically, it's going to collect your input data in a CSV file or multiple files. And where possible, AutoAI is going to transform the data and input missing values, so that data prep time that you spend, you really, you don't have to worry about that anymore. So a few notes, just for, post-workshop, if you're going to do this at home. Your data source must contain a minimum of 100 records or rows. You can use the IBM Watson Studio data refinery tool to prepare and shape your data. And the data can be a file added as a connected data from a network file system, so an NFS. And there are instructions for adding a data connection of the type mounted volume. And I guess you choose that CSV file to add to the project, so you can select it for training. So working with CSVs, we are going to work with the what do we call it? The Schema Builder, which I'm a big fan of, since we're going to be building a multi-classification model today. So just a little bit about AutoAI. So as I mentioned, using AutoAI, we're going to build and deploy machine learning model with sophisticated training features and no coding. So, this is a great tool for data scientists too. You don't have to worry about, building all the things. The UI is really nice and robust, so you can easily make your selections, and it automates the process for you. Yeah, the tool does most of the work for you, as we'll see. AutoAI automatically runs the following to build and evaluate candidate model pipelines. So data pre-processing, automated model selection, automated feature engineering, and hyperparameter optimization. So for those of you that aren't familiar, data pre-processing, most data sets contain different data formats, and some have missing values, right? So, but standard machine learning algorithms work with numbers and no missing values, right? So what AutoAI does is it applies various algorithms or estimators to analyze, clean, and prepare your raw data for machine learning. So you don't need to worry about doing that manually. It automatically detects and categorizes features based on data type, such as categorical or numerical. And depending on the categorization, it will use hyperparameter optimization to determine the best combination of strategies for those missing value imputations, feature coding, and feature scaling of your data. So that's the first step in our AutoAI process here. Feature type detection, missing values imputation, and feature encoding and scaling. So the next part of the process is automated model selection. So the next step is automated model selection that matches your data. So AutoAI uses a novel approach that enables testing and ranking of candidate algorithms against small subsets of the data. So gradually increases the size of the subset for the most promising algorithms to arrive at the best match. This approach is going to save a lot of time without sacrificing performance, obviously, and it enables ranking a large number of candidate algorithms and selecting the best match for the data. So the next step we have in our AutoAI process is we have automated feature engineering, which is really fun to watch. Go IBM design team. So feature engineering attempts to transform the raw data into the combination of features that best represent the problem to achieve the most accurate prediction. And AutoAI uses an approach that explores various feature construction choices in a structured, non-exhaustive manner, while progressively maximizing model accuracy, and it uses reinforcement learning to do that. So the result is an optimized sequence of transformations for the data that best match the algorithms of the model selection step. And finally, we have hyperparameter optimization. So after our automated feature engineering, we have a hyperparameter optimization step to refine the best performing model pipelines. AutoAI uses a novel hyperparameter optimization algorithm. It's optimized for costly function evaluations, such as model training and scoring that are typical in machine learning. So this enables fast convergence to a good solution despite long evaluation times of each iteration. So for example, just to see this in action, so 2 business use cases for AutoAI data join, which is what we're going to do today. We're going to do data join experiments. We have, the first one is the IEEECIS, fraud detection. So this was a competition that was organized by the IEEE Electrical Engineering Computational Intelligence Society, and it was in partnership with Vesta, which is a payment services company, and it was open during the second half of 2019, and the goal was to identify fraud in credit card transactions. So the problem was framed as a binary classification problem, whether or not the transaction was fraudulent. So with a training set of 433 columns, including the target, and just over 0.59 million rows, each observation represents one single transaction. So the test set has a similar size, although it doesn't include the target variable. The data set is highly imbalanced, and only 3% of the entries are labeled as fraud. So when we apply 3 sets of feature engineering techniques, each including a further layer of complexity to the previous one, we were able to yield 3 data sets with varying levels of richness of the feature engineering. So this is a great example of a business use case for AutoAI. Obviously, there's a lot going on here, and as you can tell from all of the, or I would say some of the features of AutoAI that we've talked about, the largest ones, there's a lot here that AutoAI is going to automate for you. So second use case we have here is Microsoft malware prediction. So to confirm or reject intuitions from our analysis, we applied the same methodology to a similar classification problem, but from another Kaggle competition in a different industry, the Microsoft malware prediction competition. So this also was a challenge in 2019, in the beginning of the year. It was organized by Microsoft, And the goal was to identify ways to predict when one of its products would be hit by any kind of malware. The data set provided consisted of 83 columns, including the target, and almost 9 million rows, representing a device that could have ever been hit by some kind of malware. The target was target 1 or not, target was 0. So the test set was slightly smaller, and it only had about 7.8 million rows. However, contrary to the fraud detection competition, the target variable was balanced. So in the previous example, we had an imbalance target variable. So in our manual process, we follow a very similar approach to feature engineering, similar to the fraud detection competition. However, in this case, we limit the number of expanded data sets created to 2 instead of 3. And the machine learning models that we test are the same. I have a few resources in the slides also, so you can actually take a look at, there's like a full printed article on each of these, so you can really dive into more detail and check out the whole competition. But these are 2 business use cases that are perfect for AutoAI. They're complex, they're dealing with a lot of data, that's a lot of manual process for people to go through, and AutoAI automates most of that for you. So I included 2 articles here. First one's IBM's AutoAI at Work, 2 real-world applications, and then I also have an article about automated feature engineering for relational data with AutoAI. So these are both AutoAI specific, but goes into more detail into these specific processes. So let's build something. If you have your computer and you would like to follow along, what you will need is, if you're an IBM Cloud account. So I don't know if you can see on the ibm.biz/AutoAI-slides. I'm sorry, -cloud. Where'd it go? Oh, I can't read. Sorry, I can't read. -cloud. So if you're joining from Crowdcast or YouTube as well, the project requirements are an IBM Cloud account. So if you have a cloud account, you can do pretty much anything. You don't need to download anything. You don't need to run anything on your computer. It's all done browser-based through the IBM Cloud Portal, which is really nice. It's not going to slow your computer down. So project requirements, IBM Cloud account, and you can sign up at ibm.biz/AutoAI-cloud. So if you haven't already, feel free to sign up for a cloud account. This is what it looks like. Feel free. We do have pay-as-you-go accounts. However, we have free light tiers for over, I think it's over 200 services almost. We have 40 light plans, and we have access to over 200 services for free, and light tiers or free provisioning for most of them. So project setup. Okay, I'm going to switch over here, and we're going to do this live. So let me just log in here. All right, there we go. I'm gonna scooch just a little so we can, we're gonna do this together. So we're gonna do this in real time. And for anyone that's not, going to be following along live, as I mentioned, the replay will be available immediately following the event. I also have click-by-click slides available. So if there's something that's going too fast, or you take a break, or you stop someplace, I have screenshots and slides of everything you need to go, everything you need to do. So and notes as well. So you should not, don't feel lost. It's in there for sure.
Jenna, I'm so sorry. They need the access to log into the internet.
Oh, okay. Okay, so for the internet, oh, there's a whole stack of them here. Yep. Sorry about that. Ah, I knew I missed something. Yeah, so we are going to hand out the logins for the internet. Okay. And for everyone else doing this at home, you are subject to whatever internet speed you have at home, unfortunately. So I won't be able to help you with that one. Okay, so give you a second to get logged in. I'm going to log in myself. Anyone else need internet? Hopefully this is the right. There we go, yay. Okay. Okay, so while some people are getting logged in, I'm just gonna take a second to check the stream here, see if we have any questions anywhere. We do have some people that are gonna be, yeah, no worries if you're late either. You can, like I said, you can scroll to the top of the chat, check out the links for everything there. And if you have any questions as we go, feel free to, if you're joining the live stream, feel free to post them in the chat. If you're on Crowdcast, post them in the chat. We will have some time for Q&A at the end. So feel free to post them there. And we have some people that are going to be popping in and out to support the chat as well, to help make sure that if you're having any trouble, we can help you. Okay, so this is, there we go. Make sure I'm in the right spot. There we go. Okay, this is the IBM Cloud Portal, as you can all see here. So when you log in, this is what you will see. This is your dashboard. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on Catalog and just give you a little show of what we have here. So this has some, recommended products for me just based on what I'm normally using and provisioning. This is my recommended products, but as you can see, you can check out a number of categories. So compute, containers, networking, storage, AI, analytics, blockchain, all the things. There's lots and lots of options here. Internet of Things, security. You can filter them out too. Also, if you ever get stuck or lost, you can click the navigation menu up here and come back to your dashboard. You can click IBM Cloud to come back to. But some of our main products here too, I use Code Engine a lot. It's real fun. OpenShift. I use some security stuff. Satellite is new. I haven't got to play around with it too much, but I'm hoping to maybe have a satellite workshop by the end of the year. Would be nice. Okay, so I think everybody's probably good connected to the internet. So what we're going to do, you can do this from the catalog. You can do this from the search bar at the top. We're going to look for Watson Studio. And the resource list should pop up. We should see Watson Studio. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create a an instance of Watson Studio. I think I'm running a lot. I'll just get it from the catalog here. You can also find it in the catalog here. So here we go, Watson Studio. I'm going to click on this. Okay, now I purposely deleted my Watson Studio here just so I could show you how to provision. So as you can see, Watson Studio is free. There is a light plan, so everything we do, you're not going to be incurring any charges for anything we're going to be doing in the workshops. So you can select a location. The default is Dallas. That works for me. You're going to select the light tier here. So as you can see, you get quite a bit of vCPU and RAM. And then we have this Watson NLP, which is in beta, which is actually one of the teams that we work with within InnerSource as well. I like to put my name on my service instances so that I can find them, especially if you're working with a team. If you haven't provisioned, if you're not working with multiple organizations and groups in here, your default, your resource group is just going to be default. And then you'll just click to agree to the terms and click create. Okay, so we have provisioned our Watson Studio, which is now part of our Cloud Pak for data as a service, where we're going to play around with AI models, optimize solutions, all the things. So you're going to click launch in IBM Cloud Pak for data. And there's going to be a few things we're going to need to do here. One of them is going to be provisioning cloud object storage and a machine learning. Okay, here we go. So as you can see here, like it used to be on the previous page, now it has a little widget we can work through. So we provisioned a Watson Studio instance. So one thing down. The next is we're going to provision a Watson machine learning instance. So it's just going to create an instance of from the service catalog of Watson machine learning. So it's going to provision this. I'm going to click next. Okay, and again, default is Dallas. I'm going to select the free light tier. We're just going to use what's free. And again, at the very bottom, you always have the service name. I like to make them easier to find when I'm provisioning stuff for all kinds of stuff at work. Resource group is default. So name at the bottom, selected the light account up at the top here, and then click create. Okay. Let's see here. Oh, there we go. All right. Is everyone following along all right so far? Any questions, just feel free to put a flare up or raise your hand or grab somebody from the front here to help you too. Okay. Sure.
If it's a situation where it's a team, a collaborative effort, and you need to create, does it allow you to have multiple users attached to one machine, or is it just an individual?
Yeah, so you can give if you're working on it with a team of people and you have one instance provisioned of something, you can all use it and share it. What does require an upgrade in your account is if you want to provision more than one service. So you can provision the light tier for free. If you want to create, let's say you wanted to provision an extra light tier for like another team or something, it does require you to upgrade your account. So you're allowed one instance per free account.
It's really collaborative though. So like in Watson Studio, we'll typically have a couple per people on the Brightbot side who will make a model or maintain a model or iterate a model. And there'll be two people on the client side. So we're also looking at the model, giving feedback, monitoring. So it's a collaborative space where you can collaborate on the model with a team and then all contribute to it and retrain it together.
Right. Yeah. So if you're working on like a solution specific, you can give anyone access. It makes it really easy to use and collaborate and not have to worry about who's doing what on what account and where it's getting billed. You can invite people to collaborate on your account. Okay, so we can do a few things here. We have this nice little getting started widget. So you can start with a sample project, or you can create a project from scratch. That's what we're going to be doing. And oh, well, I thought I already did this, right? Maybe it didn't take. Let me try this again. Let's just make sure we're good. Oh yeah, see, there we go. I don't know why oh well, try to create another one, but you can only have one instance of light plan per service, so I'm good to go then. Okay, so you should be here in your IBM Watson Studio. You can see at the top, it should say welcome, your name here. There's tutorials, you can create a project, extend your capabilities. We have tools and databases and other things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a project. So click create a project. And what we're going to do is we are going to create an empty project. I probably should make use of these sample projects sometime in the future. Add some things to it. So you click create a new project, and I'm just going to call this project IBM Developer and Brightbots. It's just going to be my project for today. See, as you can see here, this is an option too. So you can restrict who can be a collaborator. So there's lots of ways to secure and give access to your project. So what we need is we need a place to store our data. So the first thing we need to do is select a storage service. So I'm going to go ahead and click add. It's going to pop up this cloud object storage. There we go. So we have the light option. It's interesting. Okay, so the light option is kind of in the middle on this page, which is interesting. So scroll down a little if you don't see it. It says light. It allows you one service instance of cloud object storage. Again, at the very bottom, you can just update your name. This also makes it easier to find it from your resource list. You can pull up all the resources associated with your name or whatever keyword you give it. And then I'm going to click create. Okay, so what I'm going to do is now that I've created my cloud object storage instance, I'm going to hit refresh. And I should see it. There we go, cloud object storage, Written. Cool. And then I'm going to click create. And so this is going to create a new project within my IBM Watson Studio Cloud Pak for Data as a Service. Whew. So once I have this project created, what we're going to do is we're going to create a new AutoAI experiment. And that's where we're going to start building. It's going to go fast. The setup actually takes longer than the actual AutoAI process. It goes really fast. So the next thing we need to do in our project before we get started, we're gonna maybe check that out later. We don't need to see this right now. So as you can see, I have this project. I have no data assets here. So what we're going to do is, and again, all of this is, in the browser. So we don't need to go to GitHub. We don't need to download anything. We're actually going to click this navigation menu and scroll down to gallery. And we're going to get our data sets from the gallery. So what we're going to do here is, let me just make sure I have the, there we go. So we are going to search for our call center data set. So if you click your filters here, I'm going to, under format, I'm going to select data. But as you can see here, we have governance content, notebooks, sample projects. There's all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to look for call center data set. There we go. Oh, there was the go. So here's our call center data set. Again, we're working with multiple data sets here. So there are multiple CSV files. So what I recommend doing, that's the easiest, if we add to the project, it will add the whole zip file. So what I like to do is I like to download it. Okay. And then I'm going to come back here to the navigation menu and click on View All Projects. And I'm going to click on our IBM Developer and Brightbots. So under Assets, as you can see here, you can drop your files here. So I'm going to click here, and I'm going to just search under Downloads. I should have a zip file here. Here we go. Call Center Final Zip. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Sorry, I forgot to unzip it. Make sure you unzip, excuse me, make sure you unzip your data set, your zip file. Oh, it won't let me. Okay, it's because for some reason my peripheral screen will not show the zip file. So I'm going to unzip it over here real quick. Okay, so now that it's unzipped, I can add it to the project. There we go. Okay, so we have our folder here. Excuse me. So I'm going to just add all these files at once. Okay. And once they're added to our project, we won't need to add them again. We'll just move them where we need to use them. Okay. All 5, yes. All right, and then let me just refresh here to make sure things are moving like they should. Oh, there we go. So I have a zip file here and I don't want it. So if you need to get rid of something, under asset types, if you click data, click data set, and it will let you select it and delete it. So I'm just going to delete this guy because I don't need it. Okay, so as you can see here, we have 5 CSV files we're working with: call log, wireless plans, call type, user experience, call resolution type. Okay, so let's go down here. Okay, so we unzipped our zip file, we added data sets to our project. Okay, so this was pretty much all of the setup work that we needed to do. Let me come back here for a minute. And the last thing I want to share with you is about what we are going to be demonstrating, what we're going to be building. So this is a AutoAI data join multi-classification model that we're going to be building. So about the data, so we are going to be joining so our user experience data is going to reflect satisfactory feedback from customers to each call agent daily. That's pretty much what we're testing. So actually, if I back up a second, excuse me. So we're going to be using IBM Cloud Pak for Data's AutoAI to automate data analysis for a data set that was collected from a fictional call center. So the objective of the analysis is to gain more insight into the factors that impact customer experience so that the company can improve customer service. So the data consists of historical information about customer interaction with call agents, call type, the customer's wireless plans, and call type resolution. So each source of information is kept in separate tables on the CSV file like we saw. And we're going to be using the data join capabilities of AutoAI with the really fancy Schema Builder. That's fun. You will connect the tables using common columns or keys to create a single data source. So you don't need to write SQL-like queries for anything. Additionally, AutoAI will do some automated data preparation or feature engineering on the combined data before using the data to train the model. So you don't need to worry about having your training data. You don't need to worry about having a holdout set in your training data. You can just give it the actual raw files you want to use, and AutoAI will do all of that work for you. So this is just a little bit about the data. So the call log is our historical information about the calls from customers to the call center in the last 3 years. We have call type, which records the call type information. Wireless plans, which records the kind of wireless plans customers are subscribed to, and the call resolution type, which records the type of call resolution. And what we want to optimize here is the user experience. So this is reflecting satisfactory feedback from the customers to each call agent every day. So the schema that we are going to build actually looks a bit like this. So we have as you can see here, as an example, we have one-to-many relationship between the different data sets we have here. So the figure just shows the relationships between the different data sets, and we're going to use the data join canvas to create the data connections required to combine the data for the experiment. So if we come back over here to our cloud account, Watson Studio, make this a little bigger. There we go. So what we're going to do is we have this project within our IBM Developer Brightbots project. What we're going to do is we're going to click. Sorry, that wasn't what I wanted. Just a second. We're going to create a new AutoAI experiment. I don't know why. Interesting. Let me just. Collaborator. Let me go to the overview. Interesting. I'm not sure why I can't see. Go to manage. So let me just check one thing here. Data project. This is created.
Are you trying to add the experiment?
Yeah.
I think it's in the new assets section. Yeah. Under AutoAI. If you click on new asset, it came up as AutoAI experiment.
Oh, oh.
I think we were first on new asset, then AutoAI.
Oh, you know what? They changed the UI and it's really throwing me off. Sorry. Okay. It used to say add to project. Yeah. Now it's new asset. Okay. It's okay. I'm catching up. Okay. So we just added our data sets here. Thank you. I was like, I think I just forgot everything for a minute. Okay. So you're going to click new asset here on the top right. And the first option we have here is AutoAI. So this is what we want. We want to create a new AutoAI experiment. So when you click AutoAI, it will automatically pop up. It's now referred to as a new asset. So we're going to create an AutoAI experiment. So I'm going to call this, this is going to be a, I think this was oh, data join multi-class AutoAI. Okay, so okay, so all we need is to give it a name. We are going to need to define the configuration. So we are going to need to associate that machine learning instance that we created earlier with this experiment. So I'm going to just click associate machine learning service instance here, and it's going to bring up all of my existing services, which I only have the one. So you'll be able to just click it. And at the top here, it says associate service. So I'm going to click there. And I'm going to click the reload. So once I reload, there we go. So you'll be able to see your machine learning instance. And then all we need to do is click create. Okay, so we have our project. We added our data sets to our project. We created a AutoAI experiment. We don't need to get through this widget right now, but we can add our data sources and we can select them from our project since we already added them. So we only need, as I mentioned, we only need to add them once. So we can add them from our project. We're going to click data set, or sorry, data asset, and then we have our files here. So we're going to click our 5 data assets here. We're going to add them, a copy of them from our project into our AutoAI experiment. And as you can see here, we've got some data just about our data assets. So it gives you the size, when it was last modified, when it was created. So it does give you some log information for your data sets. So if you update them or change them, and for each data set as well. So we're going to select our 5 assets. Okay, so now this is where we get to the fun stuff. This is my favorite stuff. So we are going to build a data join schema. And if you, just for reference, if you look in the slides, if you want to use it for reference, I have a little graph here with all the information. So, and it will show you the main source, the join source, and then the keys. So we're gonna walk through and do this together, but for reference. So what that means is you're going to choose the main source, which in this case is the user experience.csv as the main source, and that's the table with a prediction target column. And then we're going to join our main source to our join sources and add the keys. So what this looks like in practice is, first thing we need to do is in the configure details, we need to start with our main data source. So as I mentioned, our main data source is user experience. This is what we want to optimize prediction for. So once I've clicked user experience.csv, I'm going to click configure join. And this is where we are going to start building some fun stuff. Let me just get my stuff up here for reference. Okay, so as I mentioned, to connect the data tables, you're going to drag the plus button, so you can see here, to on the end of one source to the source you want to connect it to. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of move these around. So call resolution type is fine. I'm going to move the call type to the top here. So just make things a little easier for us to work with our schema builder here. We're going to have the wireless plans on the bottom. And then we're going to have our call log over here. And we're going to keep our user experience where it is. Okay, so for each connection we make, we're going to be prompted to specify a key, and this is the common column. We can choose from suggested keys, or we can specify the keys manually. So we're going to start from our main table here, where it says main source and has a little checkbox, and we are going to drag the plus button from here to create a connection to the call log table here. And it does matter which order, which direction you drag in. So you want to start with your main source and create a connection to the call log. So as you can see here, we have 2 suggested keys. So we are going to, as you can see, you can specify here for each key. But what we're going to do, is we're just going to click add. So what we want to specify agent ID as a key, and we also want to specify call date as a second key. Okay, and then we're going to click done, and that's our first one. So the next one we want to do is, here we go. So we want to take our call type, want to take our plus from call type to create a data join to the call log. Okay, so we should see call type, call log. We have our suggested keys here. We're just going to hit add and select done. And so we're gonna keep doing this. Oops. There we go. So actually, if you go back to that table too, you can go from there too. So we did the main table. We did we did the call resolution type. There we go. To our call log here. There we go. And we're going to add the key, call resolution ID. Done. We're going to take our wireless plan, and we're going to create a data join here with our call log. And again, we're going to add the key. Click done. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Check it against our little final product here. Looks good. Okay, so then what we're going to do is we're going to click Save Join at the bottom. Now, the column that we want to predict, that we need to choose here. So this is going to be user experience. So let me just scroll. There we go. Okay. So as you can see, like there's a lot of features here. So I'm going to show you a few. If you click on experiment settings at the bottom. So first we have our main source of join data. We have what we want to predict. So our prediction column is user experience. Our prediction type, as you can see here, this was done for us. So we, based on the data that we added to our AutoAI experiment, it already optimized our prediction type to multi-class classification. And as you can see here, it already optimized for accuracy and runtime as well. So if you click on the experiment settings, as you can see, like this is what AutoAI optimized our prediction settings for. As you can, but there's a lot of other settings here too. So recommended, its optimized metric is recommended accuracy. But if you're a data scientist and you know what all this stuff is, you can select, you can recall weighted, just in general settings, recall macro or micro. We have precision, There's optimized algorithm selection as well. So you can score only, or you can optimize for score and runtime, which is, again, recommended. And as you can see here, this, again, is already optimized. But if there's an algorithm that you want to include that wasn't already selected automatically, you can add that here. And these are all, as I said, general automated recommendation settings. We have a new feature too. You can enable a fairness evaluation, which is pretty cool. We have our what is it? AI Fairness 360 toolkit, and a bunch of AI fairness technologies too. So we're starting to integrate them into our Watson Studio AutoAI product more. There's also a lot more settings for your data sources as well. So for instance, we're going to just drop duplicate rows. You can, for large data sets, you can use a subset to train the experiment. So it speeds up results, but may affect accuracy. You can subsample rows. You can interpolate missing values in your data source. So this is where this is going to make sure we don't have any blank cells on any of our data. Text feature engineering is automatically enabled. You can increase or decrease the number of vectors per column. Final trading data set. So as of right now, we have the training data split is you can optionally adjust the percentage of your data source to use for creating, optimizing, validating pipelines. I'm not going to touch this because it's already done for you. And you will see this in action, the training data splits and the holdout data split, as soon as I click run here. So last thing is runtime. So there's a lot of customization you can do to train your model without having to manually do these processes. You can just tell AutoAI what it is you want it to do, and it will do it for you. So what we're going to do is we're going to run this experiment. So go ahead and click Run Experiment, and we are going to watch this in action. So our AutoAI experiment has started. Our prediction column, again, is user experience. So this is, and as you'll see, so this is our relationship map, and we're going to actually watch it build. So this is going to allow us to take a look at all of the processes of joining our data, so that we can create our training data source. So if you hover over here, this is our user experience.csv. We have our call type, call resolution type, wireless plans, and our call log. If you click swap view, so the progress map is over here. If you click swap view, you can watch all this in action too. So right now it's joining our data. Then it's going to read the data set. So it's going to start analyzing our data set that we've created from joining all of our data sets. And then the next thing it's going to do is it's going to split our data to reserve a part of it to measure our pipeline performance. Then we're going to read our training data. And then it's going to go through a data pre-processing process where it's going to detect, this is where it's going to detect and categorize features based on data type, such as categorical and numerical we talked about earlier. And then this is where the model selection is going to start. So we're going to evaluate those recommended algorithms and select the best match for the data. And then it's going to go through these training of our recommended selected algorithms and create a pipeline. And then we're going to go, it's going to go through, our data is going to go through hyperparameter optimization, and then that's going to create a pipeline. And as we see down here, once we start generating pipelines, it's going to automatically rank them based on optimization. So if I swap back here, should see this going. So right now it says it's loading our call log.csv. Oh, to this one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, go ahead. You want to come up here?
Yeah.
Here, why don't you come in front of?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go behind the camera.
Yeah, go ahead.
So what we're seeing here is, this is like, if this were a lot of you in the room were data modelers, you build models in-house, you're working on different models. This is a lot of work, right? What you're seeing here is anywhere from, let's say, about a month's worth of work for a manual data modeler to build this, or more, right? Optimistically, I would say like a month's worth of work, but we're gonna see this actually happen in minutes. So there's a lot of automation behind this, and if you're a data modeler today, this is a good kind of way to automate a lot of that process. It'll give you kind of a middle of the road answer, and then you can fine tune it based on the findings that you see, right? So if you want weight this a little bit more, if you want to change some settings, you can, but this is a good way to automate a lot of the manual processes that happen with this. The other piece I would say is, for those of us who work with data models, or maybe if you're a data modeler, the people that you work with who actually bring you the data, I would say 80% of a solution like this is going to be the data preparation and gathering the data, right? So in this case, we had 5 different CSVs that were fed into the model, and then that's what we're kind of seeing now, which is going to be the best model to join this data together and classify it. Where we looked at like call logs, wireless plans. So when we build these types of things at Brightbots, these are typically databases. Let's say Verizon. We're here in New York. Verizon is headquartered not too far away. So there's going to be a database that's going to have all the wireless plans, and so you'll have to build, or you'll have to work with your team to build an integration to that database. There'll be those call logs, or maybe that's in another part. So that's another integration. So the data preparation, gathering that data to make your model run in production, that's going to be kind of the other half of a production instance of a model or a solution like we're seeing today. So again, I would say, and then so getting the data is probably going to take a while, and then there's kind of be an area where you just prep the data. So even ahead of the model selection that we're seeing here, and the model optimization that we're looking at, there's going to be one more step where, like Jenna said, the data that's maybe in these 5 disparate databases may not be compatible, right? Maybe one is in a SQL database, another is just in a file store or a network folder. So how do you prepare all that data so that it can work for the model that you're building, right? So in most of these solutions, I would say 80% of the work is going to be getting the data and then formatting it into a way where the data scientists can actually do this type of optimization and create good business, make it available so business leaders can make decisions on what should we do about this particular problem. So I just wanted to give you the heads up, because this is going to save a ton of time. There's a couple other steps that are going to be around this as you put your data models into production. So for the data modelers, online and in the room, definitely be cognizant and work with your data teams to make sure they get you clean data that you can use, and that you're getting a constant stream of data coming in that will make your model shine. But as we're waiting for the thing to process, this was a huge time savings, what we're seeing right here.
Just click this.
Oh, we got the models.
We have identified also. So data quality takes most of the time for data scientists.
Yeah.
Fetching the data and getting the data is a lot of work.
Yeah.
Before we jump into this, also data modeling.
Yeah, in our experience, I would say at least at Brightbots, 80% of our time is just the data cleansing and the data preparation.
Big data science, I know that cleansing is a lot of things goes inside. So before we reach to the big models, then it makes sense to run the models and put data into the data science model, the data science platform where you can get down.
Either online or in the room, has anybody worked with like particular areas? Oh, that we're already seeing here. Does anybody work with like the model optimization currently?
We are working right now. So we are building the application which is we are trying to compile automated solution points and covering the entire spectrum of investment life cycle.
Okay.
So every direction, like a portfolio manager or client or anything which relates to the data. We collect the data, we build the data sets, but the data optimization, data quality models, and a lot many things goes inside before we start getting the data into the production and start running the models with the AI models.
Good.
I'm actually doing a project right now with Apache. What we do is we basically have like IoT devices, and the IoT device collects like athletic performance skills data. It streams to blockchain, and of course it streams to blockchain, but the data that has to be encrypted in order for us to create, like what is saying like a trading platform.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm seeing right now with the same relationship, I'm looking at this right now, trying to understand whether or not, how I can use this information and then apply it to my field, to the project. I think this is very unique though. There's a lot of new pipeline ideas right now that actually following up right now.
Yeah, we did work on a project around this a few years ago at Brightbots. Somebody was trying. So there was a couple comments in the room. We have a data modeler working on investments, and then another data modeler maybe working on athletic statistics or athletic information. So and actually IBM has if anybody uses fantasy football from ESPN, there's a great group of there's some AI models running underneath that. So in the sports realm, they're making recommendations for your fantasy football team based on statistics, right? So how many yards is this person going to do? And that's a predictive model. So how many yards is this person going to do? How many touchdowns this quarterback is going to have? Who's going to be best for your fantasy football team that you have right now? And those are predictive models based on a huge amount of statistics coming out of the NFL, right? They're also using text AI, analyzing the news coming out. So if somebody gets hurt, somebody's not going to be able to play, if they're going to be able to play, it's analyzing news to pull out, again, should you put this person on your team for the next week? So that's a little bit similar. For what we're using here, you can use an AI model or AutoAI to help you find a correlation between a lot of the data that you're building and maybe a week's success, or a success on Monday Night Football, something like that, right? So you can kind of use AutoAI to look for what makes a successful professional athlete, or what's the why based on the MVP data over the past 20 years, what are the top 3 statistics that you might have that relate to MVP nominations or something like that. So that's a correlation that you can use absolutely AutoAI to do. On the investment side, so here at Brightbots, we've used Watson Discovery. It's a great tool where you can pull in data, and then you can start to analyze news around a particular commodity, an asset, equity, even debt. You can go through analyst reports, geopolitical news, things like that. I would also advise to maybe do like Watson Translator, and then you can bring in news in different languages and then relate that back to an investor group or even a trading desk to help them make decisions. So, what we're talking about here is correlation, but you can also use it for classification, data classification, news classification, right? filtering through the entire news from the entire planet isn't something that any market research desk can do, but when you apply machine learning and AI to it, that's something that can be possible and can help.
What you're seeing is like, it's like the minimum high right now, because what we applied so far, like in our solution, is based off of the athletic data. So each specific attribute that's collected in the device, the IoT device, is going to not only stream the blockchain, but it's going to be equivalent to an extra token on the block, or depreciation from like maybe like a scale in real time in the game. But what we're applying it to the portfolio is based off of information that's based around investment, investment options. So maybe like wealth management strategies. So what you're saying is extracting that information and then taking it to propel it to the next level. So yeah, we have the data, we already have it once we play those teams. But what you're talking about is based on creating almost like a brand new solution.
So yeah, well, let's take that one offline, but definitely you can correlate data using AutoAI the same way that we're doing here, and you can use that to correlate different types of data sets to find what you're looking for. So,
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
Great questions. Great discussion. We'll have some more time too at the end. So in the time that we were answering some questions, having a little discussion, as you can see, our experiment has finished. Let me close this widget. These widgets they want a widget so bad. Okay. So as you can see here, we have our experiment has been completed. We have our 5 sources of data. And as you probably saw, the bubbles popping around and populating while we were having a discussion and answering some questions. We have 90% of our data is our training data. We have 10% that is our holdout data. We actually have our top algorithms here. So AutoAI did its thing, and we have actually our top performing algorithms were our LGBM classifier, and let's see what this one was, our XGB classifier. As you can see here, we have our 8 pipelines that were generated, and the looks like pipeline 2. So our top performing pipeline, our top algorithm was HDB classifier. Looks like we have, can't even read that from here. Univariable feature selection. I'm like, what letter is that? Principal component analysis and square root. So if you scroll down here, you can actually take a look at all of the pipelines that were created. So let's just click into one just to take a peek. So this is our top performing pipeline. So we can actually look at the receiver operating characteristic curve, or ROC curve, for you data people. Basically, it plots the true position rate on the vertical axis against the false positive rate. So, and what's really great about the all of the pipeline details that you can access here, you can download all of them. So you can, anything you need, you can just download directly from here. You don't have to take screenshots. My screen gets horrible with as many screenshots as I take. We have the model evaluation measure view. So right now we're viewing multi-class. We can take a look at very good. Oh, what happened here? Let's see. Excellent. Yeah. So for our multi-class model evaluation measure, we can take a look at the actual holdout score and the cross-validation score for each measure. So precision macro, recall macro, weighted precision, weighted recall, and this is all under our model evaluation here. So we actually have a model viewer and evaluation section here. So you can actually check out the model information here. So these are the experiment parameters for the model for this pipeline. So the prediction column was user experience. The algorithm, again, was XGB classifier. We have the number of features. So this is the number of features that were used in this algorithm. We're 58, and the actual number of evaluation instances, which was 500, used for testing the holdout data split. And then some log data when it was created. We also have the feature summary. So as you can see here, we have these new join feature 4. So these different auto-generated names for different features that were created. The transformation. So for this first one, let's see, we have, for instance, we have new join feature 35. The actual transformation was the sum of talk time taken from the data, the data sets. And it will actually show you the feature importance. So this feature here that was generated, the transformation was the call type description, the count of the call type description, and the feature importance was very important. So what's nice is it actually ranks these for you, and it will show you all 58 of these features that were used in the algorithm. So you can actually view them individually, and it breaks them down for you. Under evaluation, obviously we have the model evaluation that we took a look at. There's also the confusion matrix here. So as you can see, we have excellent, good, very good, percent correct, of observed versus predicted. And again, you can take all of these, all of the model evaluation pieces of content here and just download them. So if you need to use them for something, you can download them directly to your computer to use to, along with the model that you created to describe all of the details of your model and what's going on, what's working, what's not working, and really dive deep into it to maybe make some changes and run another experiment. You also have access to the precision recall curve. Again, you can get access to all of this locally outside of the Watson Studio in your browser, and we have a threshold chart too. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to take this leading pipeline, which for me was pipeline 7. It might be a different number for all of you. And I'm going to click save, and I'm actually going to save this as a model. As you can see here, we also have the option to create a notebook. So it's not currently supported for experiments with join data. However, if you have an AutoAI experiment that was not using join data, you can actually create a model and or a notebook from your any of your training pipelines, which is really nice. So I'm just going to create this model here. And basically the last thing we're going to do is we're going to deploy this model and run a batch job. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to, in the navigation menu, and I'm going to click on deployments. So you probably don't currently have any deployments. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually create a new deployment space. Come on, widget. Okay. So I'm going to just call this my IBM Developer and Brightbots deployment space. So there we go. We have my associated Cloud Object Storage Service instance. I need to select a machine learning service, which is optional. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my machine learning service instance. If you're following maybe some older resources from this, this actually was a separate step. It's actually integrated into the creation of the deployment space now, which makes it easier because you don't have to go back and add this later. Another thing I want to do is I'm going to upload the assets. So let's see. I think I want to add these for my project, so I'm going to hold off on that. So I'm going to create this new deployment space. Come over here. All right.
Jenna,
Oh.
while I was creating, I have a question.
Yes.
Based on the experiment that we did with adding the assets, let's say a company wants to like add another asset later down the line, like in another quarter, could they add it and just it will adjust to the experiment, or would they need a whole new experiment? Sorry.
No, that's okay. That's a good question. Dave, do you have an answer?
Yeah, inside of Watson Studio, you can have multiple projects.
Yes, you can have multiple projects. So what she was asking.
Just one instance of Watson Studio, and on Watson Studio, you solve the assets. So you can have multiple assets. Just
So,
asset creation projects.
yeah, so if someone has a set of assets that they use to run an AutoAI experiment, and let's say they have, you know, some updated data sets later, my assumption would be that they would just create a new AutoAI experiment. I don't know that they would update and rerun the same experiment. I think it would be a new.
Would mess up the data that already exists.
Yeah, so
For AutoAI, I'm not sure. For
Yeah.
others, you can continue training,
Yeah.
but I would save the asset on Watson Studio and run a new
Yeah, I would probably.
production and just compare the results.
Yeah.
Just change it, like let's say quarter one and quarter two.
Yeah, I would probably create a new, a whole, yeah, I'd probably create a whole new AutoAI experiment. Because two, if you're using anything with any type of data join, you're gonna need to adjust that part anyway. Okay, so our deployment space is ready. Okay, so as you can see here, we have nothing deployed, but also nothing failed. So we're so far so good. Now what we want to do, let me just check here. I'm all about the shortcuts. So we have our deployment space, and I'm going to add them. Yeah, I'm gonna just add them from here. I thought there was a more fun way to add them, but in the deployment space, we need to add them. So I'm just gonna add them again from my Finder window. Just gonna browse and add them from my computer locally and wait for those to be added. Okay. Now we already have our machine learning instance associated with our deployment space, which is great because, as I mentioned, it used to be an extra step. Now you can just do that when you're creating your space. We have already saved our our pipeline as a model. The next thing we're going to do is promote our model to the deployment space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to go to my project. Used to say the project you were working, the most recent project there. Not sure where it went. So here we go. So we have our assets here. And if you've done AutoAI workshops before, everything's still here. It's just looks a little different. So we have our AutoAI experiment and we have our models. So we should have our model that we saved here. So here's our model. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to click on the model we created. Okay, so this is our Pipeline 7 XGB classifier data join multi-class classification model. And I'm just going to click this promote to deployment space here. So I'm going to promote this to deployment. I can select the space I just created here. This is snazzy, new link here. It'll just take you to the model after promoting it, which is nice, because sometimes you're clicking around and you're trying to figure out where you just were. We have our asset name. This is our model here. You can also select a version. So this is the first version. So as you were mentioning, like different versions of our models. So we can actually have different versions of an asset to our deployment space, so that we can actually create a new asset in the space with a new asset ID. So if something's been updated or changed, it will just, we'll keep all the versions of it, but the one we add will just be updated to our most current version. So this is the only version. So automatically defaults to current, and then we're going to promote this model to the deployment space. And then once we have it there, we're going to create a new batch deployment and run our batch job, and we'll be able to actually see our prediction for our user experience. Okay, so this is our deployment. What we want to do is, I think it's, yeah. So it says new deployment. This is a new batch deployment. Within our deployment space, just like our project, we create a new AutoAI experiment. Here, we're actually creating a new batch deployment. So we're going to click new deployment. As you can see here, it's already selected. This is a batch deployment. We're going to give it a name. I'm just going to name it the same. I'm just going to name it the same so that it all matches. AutoAI batch deployment, so I know what it is. And I'm going to click create. Okay, and now we have a batch deployment, but we don't have any jobs. So I'm going to click new job. And again, I'm going to call this is going to be batch job. All right, next. We don't need to change anything here. The hardware specification for this data join is fine. We can include actually configure environment variables, and this is a new thing too. We actually can configure the job run retention settings. We're going to leave the scheduling off as well. If you're waiting for a job to run, let's say it's going to take a while, this is nice. You can actually turn on the notifications, and it will actually prompt you when the job is finished running. So the last thing we're going to do here, since we added those data sets, we need to select the input data sources that correspond to our model schema. So for instance, the first one is user experience.csv. I'm going to select the data source. So I'm going to click data asset, and I'm going to select user experience and select confirm. And then it's going to verify. There we go. So the next one is call resolution type. So again, I'm going to click data asset, call resolution type, click confirm, call type. I'm going to select the data source, call type. There you go. Let's see, what else do we have? Call log. So for call log.csv, the ID, we're going to select the call log from the data asset, call log.csv. Okay. And then wireless plans is the last one. So we're going to select wireless plans. There we go. Confirm. And the very last step is we are going to give our, so what's going to happen is after our batch job is finished, it is going to, there you go. After it is finished running, it's actually going to save the predictions as a CSV file. So I'm going to just call this, and we'll be able to check it out in, what do I have here? You can use Excel, you can use numbers, you can, any place you can view it in CSV. So I'm going to call the output data file call -predictions.csv, and I'm going to click next, and then review. I'm just going to create it. It should be good to go. And what's going to happen is this is actually going to kick off our batch job. And when this is finished running, which I'm going to, here's our batch deployment area here and our batch job. So I can actually click on the batch job and check out the configuration, the input, the output. Again, is call-predictions.csv, has a job ID and a deployment job definition ID. It shows the associated assets with it. So this is coming from our data join multi-classification batch deployment. As you can see, it is starting. Now sometimes just depending on the internet, I'm gonna let it run for a second. It usually goes pretty fast, but I had some issues earlier where it didn't update. So let's just see where it's at. There we go. So it'll say starting, and then it'll say running, and then it will show completed. So I'll give that just a second. And then the last step, once this is finished running, is we are actually going to take a look at that call predictions.csv, and we are going to view the results in the output file. And we can download the file and open it to view the prediction results. So let me just refresh this real quick. And there we go. Let's see. Okay, so that's still going. So that should be done momentarily. Okay. So there was one question. Satish asked, how can we do sentiment analysis, positive or negative, on text? Say reviews on e-commerce portal. Let's say I upload all my user comments data set as a CSV. Can I use AutoAI for this purpose? Can I get results of predictions for the user experience via REST API call? So I would say that that's probably a good use case for the sentiment analysis. The NLU. Yep. So I think that would be a good use case for, you may have missed it, but earlier I talked briefly about Watson NLP. So we actually have a sentiment analysis product that is part of our Watson NLP portfolio of products that this would be a perfect use case for. That would allow you to do that. Let me refresh here. Yeah, so it'll give you positive, negative, and actually the emotions as well. And actually, we did do a sentiment analysis workshop last year that was really cool. We should probably do that again with the IBM debater. You know, I showed it in action just on the video. It was really cool. That's always a fun one. All right, let's just see if this will get my page to load here. Still running.
Investment models. You can do sentiment analysis on CEO calls, on analyst calls. CFOs and CEOs announce quarterly earnings. It's interesting to run sentiment analysis across, because even though the CEO may be saying very positive things, when you run the sentiment analysis, you may see fear or doubt pop up. So then you can do the correlation between where the company's going and views and the sentiment.
The models are only find that case, to be honest with you. participant consider sentiment analysis, the data feed has to be formed. So either it's coming from Bloomberg or consumers, you don't have any problem. But if you're fetching the data from different areas of the business, if you're fetching from different random websites, then it's very difficult to get the data quality in, because if there's a correct news are there, it's fine. But if there's news are not right, then it can really create the situations on the cellular level. We try to run that, but data quality is still an issue. Or the data feeds are still an issue.
Is it the format or the structure of Windows that is the problem?
Is the data feeds, it's not the format also. This is the data feeds, is correct data. That's the main. So if you run the US PDs, there's open jobs, different presentations,
yeah.
in the tech sector, my data is very important with the right news accumulations. If that's not right, then the data reporting is going on both.
Okay, so when your batch job has finished, which I think I interrupted mine a few times. I kept refreshing. So what you'll be able to actually view the prediction results, and it'll look something like this. So if you're using Excel or you're using numbers or whatever you want to use, you'll actually be able to take a look at, download and view the CSV file from your deployment assets. So what you'll have is it'll give you the prediction and also the probability. So as you can see here, we have very good, very good. We have some good. We have some excellent. Oops! Whoa! 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 Not yet. Not yet. Elf. We need to. You know. Yeah. So you'll be able to view the prediction results here in your CSV file and do with it what you may. And you've completed our first AutoAI workshop. So there's a couple versions of this too. But if you would be so kind, you did it! Yay! And as you can see, most of it was the setup. So once we actually run the experiment, things actually move pretty fast. So feel free to fill out the survey. I have a survey at ibm.biz/AutoAI-survey. For a feedback survey. We'll have some in-person Q&A, and in the chat, feel free to ask questions as well. And I'll be sure to post responses in the Crowdcast and YouTube as well. And as always, we have all of the event resources here at the end. Some AI and machine learning resources, the DAX and machine learning exchange, some free credentials. And as always, if you ever need to contact me, you can find me at jritten on social and reach out to me through my Linktree resources at jritten. So to all of you attending virtually, thank you all so much for coming. We'll see you shortly at the next one. And again, post any questions in the chat, and I'll make sure to get back to all of you. So thank you so much for coming, and I'll see you next time.